Hello everyone. So it's going to be an interactive discussion and I want questions from you. Of course, I have prepared my chat GPT thing. I don't know what that happened. So all the questions that you have are very welcome. I'll kick off by introductions and then I do have a few questions, like say one or two, but then that's all you. All the questions you people have, it's going to be there. You can take up the questions by raising your hands, that's better. A little bit more decorum. And yes, let's begin with you.
Hi, I am Radhika Gupta from the TCP, the Chain Project. I'm a legal associate there and I help all the Web3 businesses deal with the regulatory issues that no one wants to deal with. So that's something that I do. Apart from that, I'm the founder of Web3. It's my podcast and I host amazing people from all over the Web3 space, amazing stakeholders, and discuss the regulatory issues that they've been facing and all the legal challenges that they've come through and how they've overcome them so that we can help build the space better. So that's pretty much it.
Hi everyone, I'm Yashika. I'm from Chennai and I am a scientist by academic qualification. I'm an entrepreneur in healthcare. I also do several other stuffs. I have some multiple side hustles like anchoring and choreographing. But last 3 years I have been into Web3 space, primarily educating by learning. And I have helped thousands of people get into Web3, guided them around, worked with Nas Daily and Metaverse, the $69 million NFT buyer, and educated people around Web3, Metaverse, crypto, NFTs using videos. We've also live streamed together, me and my moderator, another Yashika. So we have live streamed Web3 education around also. And very happy to be here.
So happy that we are the namesake, man. Your achievements make me so proud of myself.
And it feels so good to know another Yashika in person.
Hi everyone, my name is Anisha Patnaik. Firstly, it's really difficult to follow that, right? She has amazing bio. But having said that, I also am the co-founder of the Chain Project. So effectively, I'm Radhika's colleague, and the rule of this panel is all the tough questions go to her, the easy ones. Once in a while, I got to play the boss card, right? Besides that, I've been a lawyer for almost 20 years now, and I think that's the reason they put me in the center, right? The dinosaur, it's got to be here. So I started Let's Start, which was almost 8 years back, one of the foremost startup law firms in the country. And this year, I started the Chain Project with my co-founder, the one and only Mr. Ajit Khurana. And what we did with Let's Start almost 8 years back, right? When 8 years back I started Let's Start, everybody was like, are you crazy? Startups don't pay, right? And I was like, wait and watch, right? So we're trying to do that with the Chain Project in the Web3 space. And hopefully, Ajit and I will be laughing all our way to the bank. But yeah, that's me.
Wow, amazing people here. So my name is Shruti. I am a chartered accountant by professional qualification. Worked for a good 10 years with EY. And then one fine day, I just resigned my company and I was jobless. And being a girl, I think you need to own your own expenses. Zara doesn't give any free lunches. So that was my motivation to get back the job. And I started working as a BD. I'm a full-time BD with a centralized exchange, which is based out of Singapore called Bit3. I'm responsible for listing of projects and, of course, with global partnerships as well. And that is my full-time job. Besides that, I'm the founder of the India chapter Crypto Female. Crypto Female is a DAO which is based out of Istanbul. And we have a presence across 8 countries with more than 10K followers on Twitter. And we are in partnership with a couple of blockchains, a couple of exchanges, and a lot more people who are joining hands. And we do a lot of mentorship programs, we do summer schools, we really don't charge. Besides that, I'm a key advisor to Sweepad. I'm also on the board of advisors for Crowdfund Junction and a strategic partner to a couple of NFT GameFi projects. The reason why I'm on so many panels, I'll give you the reason for that as well. It's not that I am that intelligent enough, it's just to get the women on board. So I'll be very clear in that. A few of the companies approached me to be on their panel or to be on the advisory board just to have the women factor in that. Of course, makes me feel a little bad about it that we are just probably just being labeled to be there, and it's just to get the diversity part. But I think the time is not far enough where we will be proving our worth that there is no difference per se between a male and a female, and this industry is open to all.
Yeah, so before this, we were discussing, and Shruti had pulled in some great numbers. She told me that there are only 13% of women in the industry right now, and founders, and only 3% are doing it alone, like they have no male co-founder with them. And so my question to you guys is, how do you feel like we can redefine the industry and make it more, inclusive to all genders?
Yeah. So, sorry, just because I already am the self-proclaimed dinosaur in the panel. Almost a decade back, right, when the word startup was just getting coined, it was the same problem, right? And we kept getting asked this question each time. Why aren't there enough women entrepreneurs? And sorry, because a lot of women who are entrepreneurs actually take offense to it because they're like, you don't say many entrepreneurs. So just clarifying, but just for the sake of this discussion, right? There were two debates. One, why aren't there enough women entrepreneurs? And second, is it okay to be a solo woman entrepreneur, right? And I feel that story changed somewhere down the line, right? There are, of course, enough of other controversial discussions around it, but today you do see solo entrepreneurs, being male or women, get funding, build amazing companies. You see enough and more entrepreneurs, either male or women, out there, right? I just feel that we are just starting out in the Web3 space. So let's have this discussion, maybe 3 or 4 years down the line, we'll get there. Because I just feel that we are at the same juncture that we were with startups a few years back. And, it's just time. Nothing can stop us women. We'll just catch up. So it's okay. It's okay that the numbers don't align today. Ho jayega. We are the sprinters.
Love to take.
So yeah, I agree with that. But what I really appreciate, and even looking at the crowd, so being that this panel discussion was only towards women, and we see so many men supporting us, so that actually just brings up that how inclusive the environment already is in place. We have people who are with open hands listening to suggestions, solutions, build-ups, which is happening by women. And that's actually something very significant change that has come. Had it been like some 20 years back, people would be very doubtful about taking a woman on board. They would be very doubtful, okay, she's more fit to be taking care of the house, or, her responsibilities and priorities will be different. But in this Web3, where the major factor is about the flexibility, right? So the moment you have that flexibility given, though the role of a woman might not primarily change overnight or over a decade, it's going to take a while to understand. It's going to take some generations still to understand that the duties, be it on the work front, be it at your personal front, have to be distributed and have to be in equal equations. But nevertheless, given the fact that this transition is already happening and people can see it, it is a significant change in itself.
Hi. So I think there is a certain skill gap that we're still trying to fill. And I think most of the people here, and I think all of us included, we're trying to fill it with education. So the reason these panels are happening is to educate people. And I think this is the first conference in the past entire year where I've seen a really good number of women. Like, this is a good number, right? And I think that number is steadily growing. And like Anisha said, steadily it will catch up. It will catch up somewhere. And to fill that gap, we actually need to start with colleges. Because if colleges start educating people rightly enough to be able to get into this field, to be solopreneurs as female as well, it will catch on really, really well. This one thing is missing in the education as well. No one is really talking about how to really build a startup. So some people are skilled, but they don't know how to build a startup, or the opposite. They know how to build a startup, but they're not skilled well. So once that is bridged, I think will be great to go.
I also, I mean, agreeing with what all three of us said, I also agree that there is a lack of confidence in general when you speak about women in finance also. And that generally happens because it is like, oh no, this is too much over my head. Why should I, be learning something like this? And when you talk about Web3 in general, it appears as a too much of a tech space, and that is sort of a barrier for women. Like, I know I have spoken to people like homemakers also, and they get interested in the part that they want to be a part of Web3, but they think this is too jargonized for them to be a part. So I think it also starts with on the grassroots level where we talk to people, and talking to people brings mass adoption. That also includes education. And all of these are the ways that we tell people that Web3 is not just a tech industry also. There are different roles for non-tech people also, which I think women can do great. In the diversity branch when we were doing today, when we heard all the women talking about what they are doing, I was amazed at the different skill sets we all brought, irrespective of we knew tech or we were from non-tech background. Everybody was enthusiastic, passionate, knew something, loved it, and that's why they're here. So this needs more talking, and we need to tell more people that it is not just that a developer, only if you know coding you can be a part. There are so many other roles that we can fit in, and education and talking, I think these two are the starting ways to go about it.
So I just want to add to that a couple of statistics from just our experience. At Let's Start, 8 years back, we literally had no client which had a woman founder or a co-founder. Fast forward 8 years, today 40% of our clients have women founders or co-founders, and 50% of that 40% are fintech clients. I mean, immense respect, right? Similarly, at the Chain Project, Web3, apart from Ajit, and just because he's our co-founder, the rest of the team is all women. I was being polite.
There have been many discussions over Twitter that I've been observing as well, and some of my friends have also told me that they have observed this thing, like many companies nowadays have this quota kind of thing for females, and they have a diversity hiring process, and it's kind of looked down upon, saying that, oh, you're a female, you got a job, that's easy. But I do want to see Web3 calls itself very gender agnostic. So do you see that as a way of like onboarding every gender into this space, or do we need specific initiatives to help the marginalized communities come forward and like take the lead?
Sorry if I could. Sorry, I don't want to like hog the limelight because I'm the dinosaur, but kuch to senior citizen quota.
We love your insights. Please go ahead.
The use case of TCP, right? Web3. I mean, no one put a gun to a head and said, hire women, right? Similarly, till almost, we cater to almost 1,000 plus startups, right? All of them have women in senior leadership and even across, right? So, although there are, I understand what you're saying, because there are some specific verticals, right, where companies are like, oh, we need to hire women, and they just can't get women for that specific vertical, right? I mean, I've had clients who's like, yaar, wo engineering vertical mein chahiye 6 mahine se khula hai, that position, just can't get it. So there are certain verticals, because of the very nature of the role, most women may feel uncomfortable applying for it. But I think across, it's changed. I mean, if we were having this conversation 4 years earlier, I would be with you, right? But today, I think things have changed. Women are not getting hired just because they are women, but women are getting hired because we are awesome.
Well, the question that you asked about the quota system, for me, I strongly oppose against the quota system, Because I personally feel to prove like it's a human being, right? I am totally against the concept of a girl and a boy. We all are getting access to the right education. Every job opportunity is open. There is no job that says that this is applicable only for this community. In fact, if you look at a lot of jobs which are there, you also have an option that you may not reveal your gender. It is not just to bring in the queer community or any other community into loop. It's just that you can be having an approach which is not gender biased. What I feel important is it needs motivation. A lot of women just feel that maybe, so again, when I was in EY, what I got to know from the HR is that after a girl gets married, the retention rate is barely 10%. And once she's a mother, the retention rate is only 4%. That is where they brought a policy change, wherein they made the maternity to 6 months paid with 6 months extendable, and also a provision where the women can leave the job and come back again within 5 years window period at the same position, at the same pay scale, and the first 6 months will be dedicated to training her. See, here what we are trying to do is we are trying to gap the skill set, that she missed out on something. Or even in case of a man, if these days even there are a lot of men who get paternity leave. It is more to bridge the gap. So what I feel is, A, there should be nothing like a quota system, because you are just trying to show that yes, you are in minority and we are doing a favor on you. Secondly, what I think is women need motivation that yes, you can do it. And Web3 is the best place because you don't really have to pick up your bag in the morning at 9 and come back at 9 and worry what were your kids doing. So it's just that you need to take a step ahead, probably move out of your comfort zone and have a trust in yourself that yes, you can do it and it is very much doable to do it.
And sorry, just to add to what she said, the responsibility is on the organization more than the women, right? The responsibility is on the organization to create a more inclusive environment. Okay, we are all talking about work from home today. But when I started 8 years back, I was like, most women lawyers fall off the wagons and stop working in law firms because of the same thing, right? Grueling working hours. And I was like, the least I can do as a woman is give them flexi working hours. So we are talking about work from home today. 8 years back, we started work from home, and some of our team leads today are those people. So it's actually the onus is not on the woman. The onus is on their family. The onus is on their employer.
So while we were talking, I was telling them about how there needs to be a culture shock at this point where people just have to accept that women are a part of organizations and they are skilled, they're educated, and they're really, really worthy colleagues. And it's just high time that they're accepted, and the process is sort of infused. Nobody really told anyone कि 9 to 5 होना चाहिए, right? It has been like this, so it is like this. And people are not susceptible to change. And that is gradually happening. COVID is the best example of facilitating work from home. And we're not college kids, we're not school kids, right? We don't need that sort of monitoring. So we have better attention spans, right? So it is much easier to make that happen, work from home system to be facilitated. And it should, and rightly said, I was actually thinking about stating that point about the attrition rate. So, and that also happens in litigation. It happens in every field, every field. But as soon as you bring in the solutions, things will start changing. And I think that is pretty much my answer. Like, I can't comment on how things have been because I've just joined the workforce and I love it. I enjoy working from home. I've never, I did one job from an office and I was so tired of it. 1 week, I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do this.
That's because your current employer knows it.
Yeah. But I would like to ask over here the men folk also, how many of you really enjoy working from home? If given an option, you can do it. So I think it's a misconception saying that women want to work from home.
No, I agree. So we had to start, in Bombay, we had to start our office because all our women folks wanted to come back to work. So that's a very good point.
Yeah, in fact, in my family, my husband prefers to work from home because he gets to play golf in the morning. He can come back, relax, have a good time. So I'm sure it's again something which is having a little kind of a mismatch. That's not only women who want work from home. I think as an individual, each one of us enjoys the comfort of our home, and we like to go to office when there is some event or something interesting happening, so that you meet people. So I think there's nothing wrong in that, and we are also asking for flexible timings.
Right. Agreeing to all that you said, I'm just bringing one extra information from my experience. I was a part of a group which had Web3 enthusiast females from all over the world, and we were having monthly meetups, virtual meetups, where we would educate each other on whatever we knew with Web3. And it was a very friendly thing, and we were learning from each other. It was great. And once on the core team, they asked me, like what we can do to expand this more. So I was like, we are anyways having these sessions. Why don't we just go live with the same sessions that we are doing on Zoom? Let's also do it on YouTube live. And one of the female came up to me saying that, Yashika, that's actually something we are scared of. And I was like, why? Why would you be scared? And he's like, this is supposed to be such a tech field. Like when we women go out there speaking something about Web3, one female actually had this experience where her face was morphed with a dick, and like, what do you even know about this? Why are you even talking about this? So they were like, we don't really want to be public. We don't really want to tell people how much we know. We don't want to be judged, and we don't want to go to that trauma. So I think one point that I'll add here is, conversations have to happen. So in a gathering like this, when we are talking and we accept that, women can take charge, women can talk, and what they talk is sensible, I think that's the first step. Acceptance is the first step.
I do agree with your point. And in fact, when Anuva told us the diversity lunch is going to be an all-women thing with a 50% male ratio registering for it, it was a surprising concept, yes. But then I do think that creating safe spaces is important, and we might go on from that.
So definitely we should give a kudos to the 50% males who registered for that diversity branch. It shows that it is starting, and it's a good start.
Any questions from the... Yes, please go. You can take this mic if you want.
Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for the session. And 100% really inspiring profiles you guys have. Really empowering for all of us out here. I wanted to know a perspective. Since you guys have been so powerful in the field and you've experienced so much around the community, what do you say is a mobilization mindset that possibly all of us have to create to increase the situation, make it much more inclusive for the next generation as a collective, as even men including in the process? Thanks so much.
Simple answer to this. Be more human.
100%. Very well said.
I think that those few words were enough, and it summarizes everything.
Yeah, I'll just elaborate, being the oldest lawyer here. I'll take the dinosaur card. See, we keep talking about change in mindset, and I'll give you an example. I was brought up in a very, very liberal family, right? Like, to the extent that we were brought up as tomboys, 2 daughters brought up as tomboys. Even then, when one fine day I decided I want to start my own company, that just didn't go down well. Because my father was like, "Beta, tumhare paas job nahi hoga." But I was like, I'm giving jobs to 20 other people, right? But that just didn't settle well. Like, for the next six months, when I went back home, "Beta, tum settle kab hoge?" मैं पापा 20 लोगों का सैलरी दे रही हूँ और क्या सेटल हूँ. But that's the mindset, right? Like, a lot of times this whole concept of settle has to get unsettled when it comes to women.
Also, just to add what you asked, right? So, of course, first, like I always say, that I'm also raising 2 boys in the house. So for me, if somebody says कि नहीं इसको आप ये सिखाओ वो सिखाओ, it's like no, whatever that my kid wants to do. And secondly, I just feel that somewhere this entire concept of you are a woman, he's a man, the responsibilities are this. Even if you look at the even the communities, the minority communities, I think the more we emphasize that you are different is where we are bringing a mindset that you are different and you need a special attention. I think the day we get over that we all are equal, we all are same, We all have access to the same education, we have access to the same food, the same environment. Things are going to change drastically. The day we start differentiating that this is a woman, this is a man, oh, she's a girl, she's a boy, that is where the entire situation starts. And just, getting in a different, angle over here, we talk a lot these days about mental well-being. I think 2 generations back, people didn't even know that. And I think life was more sorted. Life was definitely more sorted. It was sorted for everybody, I feel. I think the more we bring in these concepts is where we are imbibing a concept which is not there in your environment. I think even like if I look at my grandma, she refused to get married at her age. She being the eldest sibling and a girl, she refused to get married and her parents were okay. So the day when you start differentiating that, no, listen, you are the girl in the family supposed to get married first, that's where the problem starts. We all are humans. We all are having the same brain, the same hands, the same legs. And with the same aptitude we are born. So just go ahead and stop differentiating between a man and a woman.
I just want to add an anecdote to that. Indra Nooyi has famously said this, right? When she got the job as the CEO of Pepsi, she goes back home, drives her car into the garage, and her mom comes out and she's like, "Mom, I've got great news. I became the CEO of Pepsi." And like, "Huh? But there's no milk in the house." That attitude's got to change.
I agree. And just exaggerating the same point, I was few days ago talking to my own family. I'm a Marwadi, so I get that reaction. Respect, okay, thank you. But usually in our community, thankfully not my family, but in our community, it's always like, "Arey beti hui hai," when a girl child is born. "अरे बेटी हुई है," सेकंड टाइम भी "अरे बेटी हुई है," थर्ड टाइम भी "अरे बेटा तो होना ही चाहिए, एटलीस्ट एक बेटा की बुढ़ापे का सहारा एंड ऑल दैट." So I was telling my family कि that existed in grandmother's age, grandpa's age, because the women were not financially strong enough to handle their own things, and that's why it was important. And these days, if you see in this generation, the betis are more capable of handling their parents than the son, because son तो पढ़ लिख करके बाहर चला गया and is not even wanting to come back. So they know the reality. Yeah. So the point here is कि that mentality, if you keep hearing again and again and again कि बेटा तो चाहिए ही चाहिए, probably this generation will also have that same mindset कि बेटा तो चाहिए. Even अगर नहीं भी हो तो कुछ percentage of population है जो उसी mentality को carry करेगा. So there has to be conversation around saying that no, this needs to stop. You don't have to feed our brains that way, and we don't have to wire ourselves that way, that this is mandatory, this is how it needs to be. So I think I'll bring out that same thing, saying that, conversations have to happen and we have to start accepting the fact that this is not something we want to continue and this is the conversation we want to continue. And if we want to change the conversation, we have to be the conversation starters, and we should not be afraid of starting a new conversation with our own family, even if we are debarred for it, कि तुम ऐसा कैसे बोल सकती हो. Just have the courage to speak up things which don't settle the usual way. So unsettle the settlement conversation. That is much more required.
Next question, please.
Thanks for a lot of insights, right? I think my query, as you rightly said, everybody is equal, right? But we don't see a lot of people coming into Web3 today, right? That's one observation I had last year as well. And this year, we saw one Shira speak like this before this. But out of the 8 sessions we had, probably we had only 2 sessions with women. So how do you guys want to change that? Again, this for the promoters here, guys. But what's your view on this? More women in Web3 is my question. Thanks.
I definitely agree with that point, and I pointed it out in a lot of conversations today that there is very less speaker slots for women. Like, maybe it is because people haven't identified enough women in the field, and one of the reasons is what Yashika stated, that women don't want to come in the limelight because they're doubted, they're underestimated, and they're not trusted. When you create that trust factor in the industry, when you start trusting women with your work, you can be any sort of firm requiring any sort of requirements. Go hire a female. Female, yeah. So if you have a regulatory issue, hire us. Hire TCP. And we'll show you that women are trustable.
And once you start that wave of create
The institutes. This time we made sure that we had 2 women interns and 1 person, intern with us. I don't know why. That's what I wanted to see. That's the message I want to give here also, as rightly said, right? I think we got to establish the trust and also start delegating more work for them. I think that's what's going to give a lot of, key thing. Yeah.
I agree, and like I said, right, like just give us more. I think we are more careful and more risk averse, so we let others kind of take the risks, and then we come in and roll it. So, like what happened with startups, right? In the beginning, everyone had this conversation: where are the women? Up they go. There are only women, right? Like, so we'll get there with Web3 also.
it's already happening in fact. Okay, I have a question for the crowd. And any guy can answer. Tell me one thing very honestly, when it comes to you and you are supposed to do a discussion with a lady or a man on a, say, a pitch deal or something, do you feel the way you prepare, it's different for a guy presentation and if you're going to present it to a female? Do you kind of have any mind blocks or any perceptions? Yes, sir.
So actually, just so that I'm not sharing a random opinion, I'll back it up with facts. I used to be on the investment committee for several deals for Mumbai Angels between 2011 and 14. And this question was posed to us that how come only 9% of the startups you fund have women founders? Which is not something we had necessarily noticed or quantified, but when this came to our light, we said, oh, let's see what happened. What we found, and this is where numbers get so crazy, that it was true that it was roughly 9% of the startups that were funded had women as at least one of the co-founders. But if you start from the fact that how many of the men applying for funding that in percentage get funded and how many of the women applying for funding get funded, the percentage of successful women was greater. So for women the percentage was like 20 and for men it was like 5. So what does this mean? This means that fewer women were applying. It was not that we were rejecting more women, right? So they were somehow being eliminated at the gate, right? So that is very interesting. That 4 times the number of women were succeeding in getting funded than men. So actually the problem is not necessarily at all stages of the funnel. I think that for whatever reason women are getting blocked at the first stage. So now when we know that, when we knew this, now comes the answer to your question. And now when you are looking at a woman founder, you're like, you know what, she has a 4 times probability of success. You're already looking at it more favorably. That means she has had to overcome more. She has had to fight more, she has had to do more to be standing here today, right, as compared to a man. So actually, that is one case where we were looking more favorably at those women.
So that is why I say, instead of having a women inclusion program, you need more of motivation programs. You need the women to understand that they are much more worth than handling a particular skill set. And that is where I say, whenever I meet also somebody, so honestly, when I left EY, I was kind of ridiculed by my seniors that, hey, you're going to be due for senior manager at a age of like 28. So who is asking you to leave? So I got a double promotion because I was MD and the CA in EY. I skipped a couple of levels. But for me, that time the priority was family. I did that job 100% and I'm back to work. And I was self-motivated to do that. It was not a case that, there was a gender bias in my organization, there was anything. It is just that how self-motivated you are. And we have a conception that men is a bread earner. I do not agree to that. A man can also enjoy his life and a woman can work. You could have a house husband. That's fine. It's just, I think, a mental block that happens between couples and families. The day we are able to overcome that basic ingredient, things are going to be sorted. And next time, we will not have a discussion for women in Web3, we will have the talent in Web3 being the concept and being the topic and not a women Web3.
And really have 50-50 women and men participating on the stage as well.
As opposed to 100% women.
Reverse gender diversity.
Also,
Next time, men inclusive programs. Please include men.
not to just sound really, really woke, but let's call the people, right? Let's not say men and women. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to say one more thing that while having discussions around dance strategy in my career, I've seen the fact that when I've had conversations with women, specifically, there has been a lot of expression and empathy because I understand the fact that the feminine side creates a lot of bigger connects which are very much stagnant in a male-dominant conversation. That's where I think that inclusivity and equality in conversation brings in so much impact in terms of reciprocity. That's something that I've definitely seen around women startups, and that's where I think a lot of people genuinely feel a lot more connected when they have that conversation, because there's a lot of expression. That's what's needed as one thing that I feel is one inherent policy that males can adopt, and that's where things become more inclusive for all of us.
We need people like you.
Absolutely.
Learning from you guys as well.
Anyone?
If anyone has a question, you can go ahead. Otherwise, I have a question and go ahead with that. Nobody? Okay, I'll go ahead with the question. I've been observing actually that there is this concept of overcompensation amongst women. Like, I won't take names, but my roommate here was also a speaker, and like not at this event and not even tell because people will guess who she is. And I mean, the number was so low. They will guess it. So I have been observing how she had to prepare for her presentations and how she was so scared that, oh, I need to get everything right, and saw her prepare for like more than 12 hours for a 20-minute presentation. So that is the level of overcompensation I've been observing among. So how do you feel that is gonna pan out when, like, does that solve when more people are into the industry, more women are in the industry, or are we needing other ways to solve that?
I mean, yeah, we do overcompensate on each and every front. See, we have to put up a good face. Like, we have to dress pretty well. Like, we can't just be in a black t-shirt and a black jogger, right? I mean, like,
No offense.
Maybe I just did.
oh shit, like 50% of the time.
What rate is also valid.
Ouch.
But yeah, we have to compensate in terms of every aspect, not just in terms of our skills, but also soft skills and every form of skills. And the way we can go about it is sort of relaxing the way a person is perceived, right? So I was actually thinking this while the entire conversation was going on, and he pointed out the whole feminine aspect of things. So far, you'd only be able to identify a lot of female founders who have very masculine traits. Now, it could just be a general observation, but I feel that identifying those feminine traits and no, like no, my point was that I said so far, but I think with millennials and Gen Z sort of entering the space, that has started getting a little more lax. And nobody cares anymore how anyone dresses, and nobody cares about the superficial things anymore, and that's only going to grow, right? And that is one thing that I also read, that at this point, the generation that is coming into the workforce, they don't care about anything except what you know, how your brain functions, and how well you can cater to anything, right? And once we start adopting just that bit, what you know, how you can cater to things, everything will fall into place as it is.
I have a different opinion on this. When you talk about overcompensation, I think it comes from the urge of being a perfectionist, and that I will not definitely gender bias it, because I know a lot of males who are perfectionists and they just want their piece to be the way they want it to be. Even if I talk about content creation for that matter, like, you can just go out, switch on your camera and talk about it and just finish up with a video. And there'll be people, no, the aesthetics have to be nice, this has to be nice, the background has to be nice, the script has to be nice, the editing has to be top notch and stuff like that. If my editing is not that level, I'm not going to put this video out and stuff like that. And I know a lot of men who are like that. So I wouldn't truly say that it's only the women who overcompensate, but I think it's the perfectionist ki jo ichha hoti ki I want to be a perfectionist. That is the thing, and that is not gender specific in my opinion. And also, when you want to be a perfectionist, there'll be times when, as the days pass by, as time pass by, you'll realize that, it really does not matter. What matters is to just put it out. I'm really saying this in the matter of content creation, because I know when I started working with Nas Daily, I wanted, it has to be top entertainment, top level of effects, everything, and later what mattered was like, if you have stuff, you just say it out. What people are coming to follow you for your stuff and not for, what aesthetics you're providing. So this quality of overcompensation and perfectionism goes away in time. It just does not happen one day. Even if you want it to go away, it still exists. But yes, I think it's not gender specific in my opinion.
I kind of agree and disagree. I think UI matters, but at the same time, I beg to differ that it's not a gender thing, right? I mean, to the use case you gave, how do we know how many men who are presenting, how many hours did they spend preparing for it, right? So I think it's personality and it's gender agnostic. Yes, of course. Sorry, I don't mean to sound feminist, but perfectionist हैं तो थोड़ा बहुत हम ज़्यादा कर लेते हैं, but that has got nothing to do with the gender. That's my belief.
I'll just say one thing. This panel discussion, we were told at 4:30 and we are giving a panel discussion. So I think we all are on the same page. Simple.
Without any discussion.
And we have the crowd still sitting. So I think we did a fairly good job.
Almost a full room.
Yes, yes.
I didn't prepare for it.
Because I've never
The internet is not working, so ChatGPT was not used.
See, it was all us.
And I was told to give the questions beforehand. I did not do that, so just say. So that's also not a thing. And thank you for being a lovely audience. You were very patient, and I'm in awe of you guys. So I won't even say thank you. I'm just like, wow. It's good.
Thank you, everyone.